Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I've got a fairly balanced rack, slightly vowel heavy, but all bingo-y tiles. And I'm just wondering about acedia as a 7. Could be good, or I could be confusing it with a word which is good. These 5 vowels, AA, EEI, I think feature in a few 5-letter 8 bingos. Just not sure about acedia. Not good. Okay, well, I was confusing it with something similar. How to sort the rack out? Well, tricky because it is a bingo-y rack. Certainly playing off duplicates seems sensible, but everything else is bingo-y. But if I just play off A and E, then what's left is vowel heavy. Now, 26 for opponent. I'm immediately drawn to the Z to get value from it. Let me just consider the T in case there's a bingo there. Not that I can see. So I have seized, which wrecks the rack but scores 36 points, which is good. And the C is quite blocky in terms of parallel plays. I'm going with this. Well, vowel heavy, but I do have some scoring tiles, so that provides the hope that I can keep going without needing to change. Zitty takes an S at the end. So, what am I going to do here? These duplicates are harder to deal with, and the trouble with playing a short word like AVO is that it doesn't score very much, and it invites a troublesome rack next turn if I'm keeping 3 vowels and a consonant. So I'd really like to play off 5 tiles here, but that may not be possible. What do I have through the D? Well, not very much. And there's nowhere great for my Y to play. Well, I'm increasingly thinking I should change with this rack. It's pretty hopeless and there are limited scoring possibilities on the board. Struggling to see even 4-letter plays. Something like Tivy is pretty tragic, only about 10 points and retaining 4 vowels. Now, opponent taking a while with his play. Am I about to be on the receiving end of a bingo? I can't even see any good floaters which would help me with this rack. Well, I have a K to contemplate, and I have an O for going in front of the K. So I could play YOO or VOO, but I'm just not seeing a word which fits that pattern. AO fits in that spot. Murky is good. That's painful. I had just talked myself into changing with this rack. But what's the best I can do then? OY? Let me see what that scores. 24 points, keeping this awful selection. I am changing. Opponent is not miles ahead, and I'm changing all 7. Well, not great, but I think better than the previous rack. I have furry on my rack, and I have a Y for making murky, so I could play fury in column 13. That would be half decent. I don't think I've got a bingo with this rack. I do have the IFY ending, but the rest of the rack is not suggesting a bingo with that ending. So I have fury. I don't have any alternative plays. EF is good. But there are quite a few problems with this rack. They're the F, the U, the Y, and to a lesser extent the duplicate R. So Fury deals with all of that. And that does play in column 9, but for a much lower score. 16 points. So, well, and also in that spot I could play Furry rather than Fury. IDE is good, IDE. Now I've got Frig in row F for a big score, playing F, R and G, keeping I, U, R, Y. Dreadful keep, but I think that's going to be over 30 points. 37 points, whereas Fury, 34. Wow, great bingo by opponent. Has he presented any alternatives? Fury is still available, so this is what I have in mind. 34 points, and I'm not seeing anything better. Well, not great. Very light on vowels. But I have the ing ending. So I have virgin and riving through the I. Very low score, but it sorts the rack out. Opponent has played one blank, but there's still another to come. 62 tiles in the bag. The F doesn't help me. The U means I could play Vug, but I think the remaining tiles, although quite bingo-y, are too unbalanced in terms of consonants. I've got Vint in row D for 26 points. That's pretty good. I can't get any value from the X, since my only vowel is an I. So riving I don't like because of the score. Only 13 points. But what else am I going to do? Well, I guess it was Vint. Keeping GRR, that's a pretty poor keep. Maybe some other play will present itself. Now, what about A and E? Do I have a 9-letter play through those vowels? And I'm minded to consider ing words, so RRTV with A and E. No. Wow, another bingo by opponent, back-to-back bingos, and there goes the second blank. So I am on the ropes. So what to do here? Well, I can play Voring. And I'm not turning over tiles to get the blanks because they've all gone. But there wasn't a huge amount worth keeping on the rack, and this is 30 points, and it's keeping the board open. Now, this looks a lot more bingo-y. A couple of S's. M and B have some synergy. But do I have a bingo here? I'm inclined to think not. Through a U, I would have sub-items. U and Fury not available, but 3 U's to come. What about the I of Voring? No, I'm not feeling particularly confident that this rack does provide a bingo. What about the R? 36 for opponent, nice score. Wow, the R looks promising. But I'm not seeing anything. So, how to sort this rack out? How to score from the M and the B, neither of which are particularly bingo-y. What about playing over the top of exacted? So, well, BEM or MEB are not good, but they're also not parts of longer words, so that isn't a useful spot. Now, both blanks have gone, and only one S to come. So what about playing bum, which takes an F and an S? This is a pretty strong 5-letter set on a board with a lot of floaters. Obviously, if I'm missing a bingo, this is massively suboptimal. But if I'm not, then I think this is okay. Let me just briefly put this back, because I haven't considered the E of oversad or the A. So this rack plus an E. No, not seeing anything. How about an A? No. And is there somewhere better for B and M? I have MABE, 14 points. But one of the reasons for playing bum up here is that I've got the S's, so I may get a triple word score bingo. I'm going with this. So, do I have one? This looks jolly close. Well, that's been blocked, but for only 25 points. Now, surely I have a bingo. I have utensils in row M, so that's a start. Do I have anything better? So what are the other floaters? What would be better than utensils? Well, a double-double beginning with the R. Well, I don't have a double-double, but I have a better bingo in Surliest, which doesn't provide access to column 1. But that's not going to score a huge amount. Nothing beginning with the I. 15 minutes on my clock. Voring doesn't take an S. So I'm not seeing anything better than this. Surliest for 66. And I have a half-decent rack for 7 random tiles, but it's not a bingo rack, and I trail by 80. I'm looking in column 8 for an SH play, but the best I can see is Shiro, but that's not terrible, keeping bio, and 36 points. What about row B? I have boho. Interesting. 36 points, keeping IER. Well, that's pretty handy. And IER goes very well with the T of Zitties. Still a wide open board, or a fairly open board. And hobo. Wow, that's going to create a bingo lane in row A. V of Voring, not particularly useful. Any player in row H would have to end with the V. Great, just 23 points for opponent. And opponent takes out Shiro, which reduces my options, since I did only have 2. So I have boho for 36. Wow, all bingo-y tiles, but just 2 vowel heavy. And I still trail by a bingo. Remaining tiles, pretty bingo-y. Now I have Aegirine through the G. Wow, a 5 vowel 8. Will that stay available? Surely his opponent is going to be attracted to row A. Surely. Wow. I just need that G to be left alone. Now, what about the S? Are there any other 5 vowel 8s? Well, there may be. These are pretty decent vowels, but Aegirine is the only one that's come to mind. What about the T? I have inertiae. However, Voring is blocking that. What if the unthinkable happens and Aegirine is blocked? Wow, that would be painful. That would be very painful, because I'm going to struggle to score anything with this rack. But how can opponents ignore row A? Surely that must be uppermost in his mind. Now, if I were to have to play off a couple of fantastic, look at that, only 38 points, and more importantly, Asia Rhine is left alone for 72. Oh wow, and I draw 6 vowels. What a sick pickup, given how bingo-y the remaining tiles are. I trail by just 40 points, but this is just a heap of junk rack. I'm really going to struggle with this rack. And look at this, plenty of scoring options for opponent in row O. So what to do here? Possibly play AIA. Let me check the remaining vowels. 10 out of 24. Well, maybe not surprising that I drew so many vowels. They're still a fairly balanced bag. Now, AIA plays bottom left. Only 10 points, but it does sort the rack out to some extent. Would leave AAEL. Well, with a consonant pick, I could have a bingo through this T. Amazing that this T has remained unimpeded for so long. Great, opponent creates a new lane, only scores 25 points, creates a new lane in row M. I have AIA down here. Not sure I can do anything better than that, and I'm not sure that changing is better than this. No, this is 13 points. I am going with this, and it's also denying opponent that spot. I trail by 50, so a bingo would put me back in contention. Tong takes an A. 10 tiles to come, including a Q and a U. Could be significant. Big score available if you have both those tiles, but the Q could be a hindrance if you don't. No bingo for me with this rack. But how to sort it out? Tricky. I have an O for JO and an A. So what do I want to do? Play off ALOY. Now, what about a play beginning above the D of over sad? Do I have a 6? Ordinarily, I would not want to turn over so many tiles when I trail. But I'm not seeing an easy way to sort this rack out. So I'm not seeing a 6-letter play. What about a 3-letter play? LOY. Didy is good. Wow. Can I get value from that? Well, I can. 24 for opponent, 5 tiles in the bag. So I could play Yale. 32 points. Keeping ALO. Well, this is pretty hopeless. The play of Yale is taking out the T of Zitties. And there are pretty much no other lanes on the board. Arguably the I of Zitties, but I think that's pretty unlikely. What about the S? No, that's not available. But I don't think I can do anything else other than this. I'm struggling to sort the rack out. I guess Yale provides the E as a possibility. Still Q and U to come. So how am I doing for time? 12 minutes on my clock. What I like about this play is the score, 32 points. Can I score anything like that? And the rack as a whole was very non-bingo-y. No, I don't think so. Can I play off the O in this spot? No, I can't. I'm going with this. Great, I dodged the Q and the U, but they could both be on opponent's rack. And again, vowel heavy and no bingo on my rack. So I am not going to be bingoing, and I think that's it for my winning prospects. So what am I going to do here? Opponent's going to take the last tile. So these are the final tiles I will have. So just the W for score. EW is good. So I have low in that spot. I don't think I'm going to go out after that. I don't think these tiles make a bingo with any floater. Certainly nothing has come to mind. So what about doing any sort of setup? Well, setups are always very hard. And I'm just thinking if I played in row E, then I could have the W on this triple letter square, but I think that would be pretty easy for opponent to block. But what is opponent going to do? He may have quaff on his rack. The U could be in the bag. Interesting. He could play cat in column 8. Maybe I need to play there. So I could play what or wat or wet. So if I played wat, I would have allowed. Does that play anywhere? Wow, 37 points. Nice play by opponent. And he has placed a vowel next to this triple word square. So what can I do in that spot? So I can play OWE. Let me have a look at this. This is 37 points. Is opponent going out with OIF? Well, yes, because he has quaff with the C. Does he have an out elsewhere? Tifo would be good if Yale wasn't in the way. So possibly not. Quaff isn't going to score very much. Should I be blocking that? Well, 37 points is a huge score, so I'm minded to think not. Can I do any better than O in this spot? I can't. I am going with this. So opponent needs to spot quaff, and I think he probably will. Or something better. Supposing he doesn't, I have Dal, which plays in row G. Do I have a second out? Not that I can see. But that should be fairly immaterial in the sense that I am expecting opponent to find his out. Well, he doesn't. So let me have a look. 11 minutes on my clock. And I've seen Dal, but nothing else. Dal, 14 points. Can I beat that? It's not going to be enough to win, but it's always good to play the play the winningest move or the one which produces the lowest losing margin. And plenty of time available, but I'm not seeing anything better than Dal. And the final score, 386 for me, 432 for my opponent, a winning margin of 46 points, so well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. Wow, what a game. Could I have done better? Probably. Now, it was opponent to play first. He plays Zitty, and I play Seized. And this is the word I was thinking of when I was thinking of Acedia. It's Acedia. But Seized looks fine. Wow, missed bingo. Very difficult to see. Die Maker with the E and Tide Mark with the T. Wow. So opponent plays Merc. And I changed, and the best available, B13 Ivy. Keeping double A, double O. Well, AA00 is not worth minus 32, but it's pretty horrendous. And most of the time when you keep AA00, you're facing a low score next turn, so I still like changing. Great rack for opponent and a choice of bingos. Plays exacted, but C3. Exudate available. Why does that score so much more? Because it gets doubled. Now my rack, and I play Fury for 34. That looks fine. Great pickup of 7 random tiles. And opponent plays over sad for 75, which was a good spot. Now this was my rack, and I play Voring for 30, and I like that. Opponent plays Jew, D2 for 36. And now, did I miss one here? Yes, I did. Wow, B Mists, J9. B Mists, AB, and D. What a mess. 73 points. Well, I'm 2 bingos behind, but this would have been one of them. So well done if you spotted that. Instead, I play Bum for 14. An opponent does not have a good rack. Plays Fug. And now I have Utensils and Surliest, Lustiest, through the T also available, and a couple of others. Now, opponent, no vowels at all, plays Unth. And I play Boho. Interesting, Hob available for even more points, but keeping one more vowel, so I actually prefer my play. And opponent has the Q with 28 tiles in the bag. Gosh. Plays Pont. And I have Asia Rhyme, which gave me a sliver of hope. I trail by just 40 points. Opponent plays Tongue. And now this was a dismal pickup from playing Asia Rhyme. And I play AIA for 13 and only 3 more points available. And look at this, the 16-point play has 4 vowels, whereas my play has 3 vowels and a consonant, so I think definitely better. Opponent plays Clops, 5 tiles in the bag. Interesting, F10, just YA, not creating a lane. Yeah, well, I'm just not going to bingo with these tiles and the openings on the board. There are no 7-letter lanes, and a floating vowel doesn't really assist here, so I quite like leaving just 1 in the bag. Although YA in its favour would have reduced my chances of drawing the Q. Now, opponent plays Queens and M9. Wold would not have blocked Quaff. That would have been a decent score. So I play O for 37. This is opponent's out, and instead opponent plays Foo, and I have Dal, which was the only out. So, what a game. Fantastic play by opponent with back-to-back bingos early on of Exacted and over Sad. Gave me an uphill struggle. I had a chance to get back in with the Mists, but I didn't spot it. And a late binger of Asia Rhyme was followed by a poor pick when I really needed a good one to stand a chance of winning. So that wasn't to be. Many congratulations to my opponent on his victory. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.